Looking at healing the deserved gap, worthy of wealth, worthy of wealth. And the conversation today is around looking at the fact that I've met people who they are either you are in business or you are in paid employment, it really doesn't matter. But I've met people who you have them say things like, oh, um, I don't deserve this, I am not worthy to be wealthy. And or they have created for themselves a wealth limitation, if I would call it that. They've created for themselves a limitation of how much money they think they should make in life. They've made for themselves a limitation unconsciously. I'm trying to see where this light is coming from. Okay, I think it's coming from my front. Yeah, I think this is better. They've created for themselves a limitation of how much they should make in life. So you see them putting in a lot of work, but they are not getting the corresponding results. They are not getting the corresponding results. And the reason for that is because they have this mindset of I am not worthy of wealth. I am not worthy of wealth. And when I've had the privilege of working with people across different race, and inside Nigeria I've had the privilege of working with different tribes. And what I have noticed that has stood out for me is that we have people who have proclivity around this fear of making it, this fear of being too successful, this fear of going far and beyond what was deemed possible. And the problem with this is most times people do not even know they suffer from this. And there was a book I was reading, a journal I was reading called the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. The Journal of Personality and Social Psychology. And what that journal was saying is one of the reasons why a lot of persons are not as wealthy as they should be is because they have always unconsciously viewed themselves less, and because they have always viewed them. Mommy, food safety, I don't know if you are here. Good evening or good afternoon, ma. Well done, ma. I'm going to reach out to you. I'll send a message soon. Once I'm done with this conversation, I'll send a message, please. So there is this unworthiness that some people feel that I should not be that rich. I should not be that fine, thank you, ma. I should not be that comfortable in life. So, and it comes out in different form. I've seen somebody who is a very good tailor. Hi, Martins, Patricia, who is a very good tailor, but somehow, hi, Zanxis Farms, thanks for joining. You see somebody that is a very good tailor, but they are not bold enough to charge high. You see a farmer that has very good produce, but they are afraid to charge high. And when you ask them, they somehow have a justifiable way to explain it. You hear things like, oh, because of where I operate, my farm is in the village, my shop is in the village, my this is here. So they have created justification that makes it look as though their pricing strategy is based on what is possible. But the harsh reality is, what they do not see is there is an underlying factor that tells them you don't deserve to charge that much. you don't qualify to charge that much. You don't have a business that can charge that high. You cannot get a customer that can pay that well. And what all of these are masking is you don't see yourself as being the kind of person to charge that high. And many a time, this way of thinking, this way of seeing things, were not something that we developed consciously. One of the first places where people develop this unworthiness when it comes to pricing, because I've had people say, oh, from Sam, teach us about pricing strategy. By the time you are done teaching all of the pricing strategy and all, you start realizing most people shy away from value-based. And value-based pricing strategy is a function. Hey, all the way from Czech, Brabec, thanks for joining from Czech Republic. Pricing, value-based pricing is based on perception. That is why you can have a singlet from or a Vertu phone costing as much as $20,000-$30,000. It's a matter of perception, not really because it's that better than the others. No. So where does this unworthiness come from? The first place this unworthiness comes from unconsciously is our religion and spiritual messaging. As a Christian myself, I realized that when I get to talk to some Christians, quality is based on quality is based on consumers' perception. And that perception is not something real and tangible. I've had the privilege of traveling to multiple countries, and one of the things I am realizing is when you go to whether hotels, Airbnb, and all of that of Nigerians averagely, we do too much. We believe that for you to be able to charge high, you have to stuff everywhere with decoration. But in developed nations, they believe either in simplicity or artistic architecture. They are not trying to do a whole lot. Thank you. Number two is, in developed nations, they are more intentional about the customer experience. But for us in Nigeria, you will spend money, you will not even put just ordinary TV. You want the TV to work with the person. You want the person to have those strong, deep AC and stuff like that. Now, where does this unworthiness come from that affects our businesses and vis-a-vis our finances? I said number one is this unworthiness comes from our religious and spiritual messaging. I remember talking to some persons and you will hear them say things like, you hear statements like, you cannot be rich and holy. You cannot be rich and holy. Oh, you cannot make money without committing sins. There is a particular song that let me see if I can find the song. You cannot be rich and you start thinking, if this person has this mindset, one even said, there is no rich person that has not committed crime. That the only way, so you start realizing this mindset of, you cannot be rich and holy automatically stops you from aiming for more. Automatically. What's this guy's name? Jubez. Can I find the song or I deleted it? Okay, I think I now use it to teach some book. I have not deleted it. So, this was a particular Nigerian song. So, let me look for when again. Let me see. It has not gotten there. Control. I'm trying to find. So you see that it's a mindset. That's where he said it. He said, big money never comes clean. Clean money never comes big.
Being everywhere gets you nowhere. Our parents also try not to be poor. Big money never comes clean and clean. Money never comes big. Calendar is fake. We only have day.
So that's the part I wanted us to hear. Clean, he said, clean money never comes big, and big money does not come clean. And you see, this is a mindset. And some of this mindset was what we were taught in our religious spaces. Oh, if you want to make heaven, you cannot have money. It is easier for the cow to pass through the camel to pass through the eye of the needle than for the rich man to make heaven. That is why you even have proverbs like the person is as poor as a church rat. So it starts being that your spirituality is directly proportional to your poverty. The more spiritual you are, the poorer you are. And because of that, a lot of people have not understood that there are business ethics. There are business ethics that they feel that no, it is bribe. But it is not bribery, it is business ethics. How do I mean by business ethics? For example, think of when you were in the university. There was that person that provided help to the HOD. He will help the HOD take the children to school, help the HOD to pick his bag from the car to the office. When that child writes exam, you realize that that person can hardly fail exams. That same reality operates in the workspace, because at times you realize that a lot of let me not say a lot, some religious people, bias, yes, some religious people do not understand that there is a need to serve authority for some things to get done. That it is not just, in short, I am one of those that believe sincerely that you cannot pray into wealth. There are things you need to do. There are things you need to do that are very legal, but they fall around business ethics. Even in developed nations, if you are trying to get some job, some contract, you take that boss out for maybe a dinner or something. They will even tell you things like, if you want to get to work with the Jews, for example, they will tell you things like, I think in Nigeria, the Hausas are the closest to the Jews, where they trust you based on personal relationship more than your business acumen and profile. They want to, oh, let's go out for dinner. Let me come to your house. You come to my house to eat. They want to see that there is a match in cultures, and not even culture, in value system. But you have people who have been taught that, no, you can't do that. And they are suffering in business. They are suffering in business. Oh, there is that oga, maybe you are trying to get a contract, but you have the phone number of local government chairman. Thank you, ma. You must create rapport and business relationship. You have the contact of local government chairman. You know that local government chairman is a Muslim. Salah is coming. You could not even buy one small bag of rice to say, happy Salah. It is not bribery. It is you creating a rapport and a relationship. Because if there is an opportunity, it is the people they can call to mind easily that they will refer. It is people that they remember easily that they will refer. But you are there, you are just like, no, let my work speak for me. The work may never speak. It may not. Think about it. Even in your religious cycle, the people that are closest to the head of the religion physically are the people that get promoted and also get to climb or get opportunities. Yes, sowing seeds. Even if you are in a developed nation, you cannot just be in the office. You are always, hello, bless you. Hello, bless you. They cannot talk to you. They cannot rap with you. There is no rapport, nothing. And you are wondering why opportunities do not come to you. Because if they are going to promote you to get opportunities around their inner cycle, They must be comfortable with you being close to them. But they don't know you enough to draw you close. They don't know you enough to bring you into real opportunities. So there is this religious messaging that has locked out a lot of persons. There is this spiritual messaging that has locked out a lot of persons. Two, another way this spiritual messaging has locked out a lot of persons from opportunities is forgetting that your spirituality is personal, not global. Your spirituality is personal, not global. I heard a story one time, I don't know if it is true, but I heard it from a trusted source. The person said somebody went to look for a job somewhere and they were invited for an interview. On getting to the interview, I think it was a woman that was interviewing him. So before the woman came in, I think she had gone, he met the woman, and the woman was like, please give me a minute, I want to quickly take a smoke break. So she went out, took her smoke, not where the person was, like outside the office, took her smoke break, came back for the interview. After the interview, normally if you go to some big parastatals, they will ask you, do you have any questions? So it's not just them asking you questions, they will also give you the opportunity, do you have any questions for me, clarifications or anything? And the guy now told the woman that, okay, since you've said if I can speak freely, I want to, what's the word now? I want to, it's not preach, that was a term the person used, but basically I want to preach to you that this smoking you are doing is a sin and it can lead you to hell. Whether the smoking is a sin or not, your spiritual conviction is not business ethics. So the person has no business sharing that antidote, even if what you are saying is the truth. It is your own spiritual conviction. Because this is another reason why a lot of persons in business are not able to grow. You are in a space where they are doing business. Then they are not like, oh, let us do something. You're like, no, we need to pray. Except you are the head of the team. And it is permissible to say we want to pray. Pray your prayer in secret. And follow the business, how business is done. You are the person going to work in a space where they sell alcohol, and you are trying to preach to the owner that alcohol is not good. Why are you there? Did they force you to work? So we must be careful that our spirituality does not become an obstacle, does not become a hindrance. You must be careful. And this is why I always tell people, your spirituality is your personal conviction. Another reason why a lot of people undercharge is our cultural background. Our cultural background. When I say cultural or tradition, where we come from, I have heard people say, I come from a place where they say nobody in our village can buy 2 cars or can buy a car. I'm sure you've heard stories like that. So when they even mistakenly buy a car, they will not even want to bring the car to the village. Cultural background. I mean, I'm sure you would understand this. So let me give you this other example. It is very common for an Easterner who is just making money in Nigeria. They don't have a house where they live yet, but they are first going to the village to build a house. That is not an investment. That is an ego massage. Do I understand why most of them are building a house first? Yes, I understand the reason. Because after the Civil War, a lot of them, their parents do not have houses, they don't have anything to their name in the village. But before you start building a house that you would visit once in a year, a house that will be lived in by cockroaches and rats most of the time, that money should first be spent on things that are futuristic. And this cultural thing comes in multiple forms. They come in multiple forms. Where people see you as being too ambitious. If I make this kind of money now, nobody will believe it is clean money. They'll say I'm doing yahoo yahoo. They will say I'm doing blood money. They will say I did rituals. And this has stopped people from charging high. It has stopped people from charging high. And these things comes in different forms. So you need to ask yourself, the way I charge, is it a function of how I have been, what's the word now? How I have been conditioned by my spirituality, by my religious house, or is it a function of how I have been conditioned by my tradition? Is it that function? The number 3 reason is familiar inheritance. Familiar inheritance. What do I mean by that? Some of us grew up within families where they told you that money is dangerous. Being rich is a dangerous thing. No, you cannot have too much money. Do not have too much money. You even hear them use an example of what's this guy's name, Solomon, where he said, God, do not let me to be so rich that I will curse you. But you forget that Solomon that prayed that prayer, in his time as king, gold was like stone. Think about it, how easy it is for you to see stone. It is recorded that gold was like stone. So, what are some familiar tendencies? What are some familiar tendencies? There are people that actually have palpitations when they have too much money. When they have too much money. Try and imagine today you have like $1 million cash. Can you put that $1 million cash in your car outside and sleep well? Or are you going to be waking up every 5 minutes to be sure the car is still there? Because there are some unconscious familiar tendencies. And these familiar tendencies is why there are money people we offer, your brain will say no, not cheating. Maybe you are into tomato selling, pepper selling, and somebody is saying, okay, I can buy these tomatoes. Or maybe even hear the person saying, there is a market where they sell, maybe you sell tomatoes for 1,000 naira per kilo. They're not like, there is a market where they sell for 10,000 naira per kilo. And if your first response to that is, it is not for people like us, there is an issue. There is already an issue. So you need to ask yourself, what is the cause of what I'm going through? Is it a spiritual conditioning? Is it a cultural conditioning? Or is it a familiar? This familiar is not talking about your family alone. It could be a group of friends that has made that thing look familiar. Meaning, somebody is saying, you can sell these tomatoes for, you sell at 1,000, but they are saying there is a place they sell for 10,000 naira. And then you are now thinking, everybody around you who are also tomato sellers are saying, no, we not fit sell tomatoes for 10,000 naira, not be for this kind of place. So, your confession is a function of familiarity because people around you have similar mindset and you have borrowed from their mindset to create and establish yours. You have borrowed from them to establish yours. So you are also saying it is not possible because they have said it is not possible. That's familiar. You are in Nigeria and they are like, do you know you can export from Nigeria? Like, no, it's not possible. Or it is hard to export. Why are you saying it is hard? It is not from your personal experience, but from the experience of those around you. So it is also familiar. Because right now, what you are then doing is you are using their reality to also create your reality. That if it is hard for them, it would also be hard for you. So you realize that this thing about having what we call unworthiness of wealth can also be a thing that comes from familiar. This unworthiness of wealth, because you are thinking, if they could not get it, why me? And this is what you also see affecting a lot of young persons in school. You are telling them in the university, hey, There are scholarship opportunities available when you graduate. Apply. And you will hear statements like, no, it is not possible. You cannot get scholarship if you don't know person. If you not get connection, you cannot get scholarship. But you have not tried applying. You are just accepting a familiar story that if others have said it is not possible, then it is not possible too for you. It's not because you have tried applying and you did not get it. Hey, Mawi's farm, good evening. Oh, they are telling you there is a grant opportunity from the government, from one organization, apply. And your first response is, it is not possible. I will not get the grant. And somebody is asking you, why do you think you will not get the grant? It is not because you have tried and you were told you failed. It is just because you are around people who have said they tried and they failed. Or they've not even tried, they only heard stories of others too. They only heard stories of others. So it is also a familiar conditioning. So that unworthiness of wealth can be something that has come through familiar conditioning. It is the story around where you live. It is the story around where you reside. So everybody has said the same thing to the extent that you also believe that your own case will be the same. So you don't even bother to try. You don't even bother to check it out. There is a, if you are a Christian, there is a biblical story like that. I think it was in the book of Proverbs, where it says that the lazy man says that there is that the lazy man says that there is a lion. They said there is a lion on the street, and if I go out, it will devour me. Notice the lazy man did not see the lion. He only heard that they said that there is a lion. So because he heard they said there is a lion, he himself did not go out. And somewhere else it says that the poverty of the lazy will come to him like a thief in the night, slowly to be coming. So you realize that one of the reasons a lot of business owners are suffering is unconsciously they have programmed themselves to be unworthy of wealth, but they do not know. So you need to ask yourself, where does my unworthiness mindset come from? Does my own mindset come from the fact that, oh, I think that, is it my spiritual conditioning? Is it a religious conditioning that I have been conditioned that I now believe that, oh, I am not worthy? That is a possibility. Hi, Jaden. Hi, Luna. Is it a spiritual conditioning from the messages you have heard? I mean, let me give an example. I have heard Christian, when I tell some young persons that, oh, with this business that you are doing, I think what you need to do now is you are qualified to get debt facility, meaning get loan, because you are going to need loan to grow your business. And you hear them say things like, God forbid, I shall be the lender and not the borrower. I lend to nations and blah, 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 blue, blue, blue. And I'm just thinking, what the heck? Because the same Bible that told you that you shall be the lender and not the borrower also applied the principle of debt. Also applied the principle of debt. It's almost 30 minutes. I try not to cross 30 minutes, but today's one may cross it. Let me give you an example of where it applied that. There was the story of the woman who lost her husband, and creditors were coming to take her son. I'm sure you've heard of the story. Creditors were coming to take her son. Then she went to the prophet and she told the prophet that, hey, prophet, my husband, your servant, who was a dedicated servant, is late and he owed money. And he said, and now they are coming to take my sons in lieu of the debt that my husband owed. And what did the servant, this thing say? Now, I want you to understand, for me, that is one of the most honest story around wealth in the Bible. One of the most. Because first, it made it clear that you can be holy and poor. Meaning your holiness does not remove poverty, and you can also be holy and rich. Because when he said, oh my husband, your servant, this, the prophet did not say no, your husband was not faithful. It means that the husband was faithful but he was poor, right? Two, the prophet asked, what do you have? So as a person, one day I'm going to teach on this, everybody has something. The problem is what we have is usually not so obvious for us to recognize, but that's not where I'm going. The part that I'm going is the woman said, all I have is just a jar of oil. And the prophet said, go and borrow containers. Not a few, but many. Notice, this woman came and said, I am owing. Debtors want to take my child. And the response from the prophet is, go and borrow containers. The reason your borrowing has put you in trouble for so long is you have not learned the principle of borrowing. Because remember, this woman owes money. This woman owes people. The people she is owing were coming to take her children to make them slaves. Yet, the key to her coming out of it was also to go and borrow. But she was told to go and borrow jars. Now, let me explain this. The only reason those jars would be given to her is because the owner of those jars do not need the jars at that point. They do not place so much value on those jars at that point. If not, if they placed a whole lot of value on those jars, they will not allow the jars go. What does that mean in our reality? You are borrowing from people what they need to survive. That is why the debt is choking you. That is why they are not allowing you to sleep and wake up. That is why when they want to pay school fees, they will call you up. But when you understand how to build your business so that you can borrow money from people that don't need that money. Let me give you an example. It costs about, if I'm not wrong, 10 to 15 million to leave your private jet in a hangar overnight. Like you want to go to the airport to drop your private jet, about 10-15 million, if I'm not wrong, right? If you build your business to the point that you are meeting somebody that owns a private jet, one of these days I'll teach you how to connect to the guys at the top. And you are meeting somebody that owns a private jet and you're telling the person, I need a loan of 15 million. Number one, the money you are borrowing is just the money they use to park jet overnight. They are not going to be so broke that they are calling you up. Do you understand? All I'm just trying to explain is there is a place for debt financing for your business to grow. Because whatever business you are trying to do, you need money. The more money you have to invest, the wiser you will look. The more money you have to invest, the wiser. The reason it feels as though you don't have so much sense when it comes to that business, we say money not there. Once you have that money, the way your wisdom, unless you don't have financial sense, that's where you will waste money. So, unworthiness of wealth. I said there are three things that has conditioned us to feel unworthy of wealth. One, our spiritual or religious conditioning. Two, our cultural or traditional conditioning. Three, the familiar things we'll deal with. These are the three things that has conditioned us. Next, we now go to the psychology of undercharging. I wrote here, undercharging is not just a pricing mistake. It is a confession of your unworthiness made in numbers. When you set your rate, you are not simply calculating costs and margins. No. You are making statements about how much you believe. So you are making statements about how much value you believe you create and how much of that value you believe you deserve to receive. That's what pricing is. When I grow tomatoes and I want to sell tomatoes, how much I put on that tomatoes is not just a function of the cost of goods plus profits. It is also an unconscious cost of how much value do I think I am providing for you. How much value do I think I am providing for you is an unconscious cost of that. It is also an unconscious thought of how much do I think I deserve for this service. Right? And the reality is, whatever price you put on your goods, you are going to attract the kind of clients that will pay for that level. Let me tell you the fun thing I have noticed. The fun thing I have noticed. When you have a client that is poor or broke, and you have your business model to sell to the broke, what I realized is you will have that person loyal to you, right? When they start making money, guess what? They will outgrow your service to somebody at their new financial level. Which means the reality is you are doing yourself a disservice by charging less where you can charge more. You are doing yourself a disservice. Let me look for a way to explain that so it will make sense. You are a car salesman. You sell cars. If the cars that you are selling are third hand or fourth hand, you are going to attract clients that will buy third hand and fourth hand, right? When that person can now afford brand new, they are not going to stay with you. They will move on to the next level where they can buy brand new. Let me use food, because all will be like, that one is not that's normal now. Let's use another example. You are somebody that operates Mama Put. What's Mama Put in English now? All these roadside restaurants. That's what you operate. And you are selling your food with very low margins and stuff like that. And you're like, I am trying to help the poor. That poor person that comes to buy little, beg you, they eat little. When they have money tomorrow, they will want to go to the luxury restaurant. What has simply happened? They will leave you where you are and move to pay higher for the same thing in a luxury space. And this is the reason why, because I've had people ask me questions like, why is it that all these small business owners, most of the time, they never grow? Is it that they don't have good business sense and all? I'm like, no, it's not like they don't have good business sense. The problem is the customers they are serving outgrows them or stays with them and die at their level. The customers they are serving are not there to help them grow to the next level. No. It is either they will outgrow them over time, or they will leave them there, they will stay with them and they could die in that level that they are. Never making any sense. So you must understand that, and that's what I always tell people, as a person running a business, whatever business you are doing, tailor, hair, nails, manicure, what they call pedicure, farming, whatever business you're doing, I always tell people, ask yourself, what kind of life do I want to live? Do you want to live a life that by the time you are retiring, you have a house of your own, you have some good investment that takes care of you? What kind of life do you want to live? Then ask yourself, this business that I am doing now, is there anybody doing this business or that has done this business ahead of me and they are living the kind of life I wish to live? This is what I mean. I am a farmer, right? I ask myself, are there farmers who have farmed all their life and today are very comfortable in retirement? If yes, what market did they serve? How did they charge? Was there a packaging they did? If I have opportunity to meet such persons, I am asking, what did you have to do to be able to build this level of wealth, right? You see, once you have that understanding, it removes the guilt that comes with how you charge. Because now you understand that yes, you have a business to service humanity, but this business should also be able to give you a decent lifestyle at retirement. Are we together? So, how we charge is a reflection of one, the value we believe we are giving to the customers, two, the value we believe we should get back. When I say the value we should get back, how much is this thing worth to us that we have given out? How should I be compensated? So that there is a match between the two. There is a match between the two. So I wrote, you attract clients who value you at the price you have set. You are going to attract the kind of clients that will value you based on the price that you have set. And the problem of setting low prices is your margins will be very small. And because your margins are very small, you need to now work extra hard to be able to make enough because you have small margins. You are doing maybe times 10 of the work somebody else is doing that has higher margins. Hope that makes sense. So, how do I close this gap? There are exercises we need to do. Number one is what we call the origin interview. You need to sit with yourself and ask yourself, how did I learn about money? How did I start creating this mindset? Upon thanks for the flower, for the rose. How did I start telling myself I don't deserve this? How did I get to start telling myself I don't deserve this thing? How did I start telling myself I don't deserve to be wealthy? That is the first conversation you need to have with yourself. Start writing it down. Why do I think I don't deserve? Was it a religious teaching that conditioned me? Is it a cultural teaching that conditioned me? Cultural teaching could be something as simple as, are you not single? Why are you living in a big house? This is waste of money. Because you have heard them say that to your elder ones, now that you have money, you are afraid to live well. Because you have been conditioned to believe that living well is waste of money. You have been conditioned to believe that living well is waste of money. So you are saving money for a nest of kin that you don't even know whether the nest of kin will have sense or not. Hope we are still together. Number two is the worthy evidence file. The worthy evidence file. What is the worthy evidence file? Now, start documenting. How many people do you help? So, like at the end of the day, I used to do this when I was trying to create it for myself. Who did I help today? This is not about like a perception. Like, be honest. Oh, you are a farmer. I sold 200 kg of tomatoes today. 200 kg of tomatoes, just an example, we take care of 400 meals. So, because of me today, 400 people will eat. So, 400 people, find a way to visualize it. You see, it starts helping you to see yourself as being worthy. It starts helping you to see yourself as being worthy. Oh, you are somebody that is into service. How many people did you help today? Oh, I sell my tomatoes at 1,000 naira per kilo. Because one of the things I used to do, for example, at the end of the month when staffs get paid is, because of me, this staff has a salary, this one has a salary, this one has a salary, this one has a salary because of me. So the reason you have what to eat as a family is because I am there. Oh, you did a business with somebody, I gave somebody a business opportunity, the person made profit, I write it in my worthiness file. You see, because the reason why it is hard for you to charge people well is you have not built enough worthiness credit that you can see and visualize on your own. Because now, when I am now talking to somebody, it is easier for me to say, see, if you give me this contract and I do it for you, see what I did for Lagbaja, see what I did for this, see what I did for this. I will be able to do this also for you. When I work with so person, not only did I build their farm, they were able to get so tonnage. Based on this tonnage, they are able to earn this much. They are able to produce this much. This is their revenue. This is how much they pay so staff. Because of the work I did for them, they can support XY number of families via the staffs that they pay salaries. So what then happens is the person now sees me as worthy. Because you need to understand this. Let me explain using this so it will make sense. This is a police wristwatch, for example. If you meet a street urchin, like an agberu, we call them agberu in Nigeria, but a street urchin, a tout, and you meet a tout, let's say I was about getting robbed, and a tout helped me from getting robbed, and I gifted the tout this wristwatch to say, I take, thank you. And the tout goes out to say they want to sell this wristwatch. You agree with me that if this tout should come to meet you to say, I want to sell this wristwatch, the price you are going to give for the wristwatch is not based on the actual value of the wristwatch, right? The pricing you are going to put on the wristwatch is based on the value you place on the tout. Because in your head or consciously, you are going to ask yourself questions like, will I be willing to give this tout this amount of money? No. Right? And the problem many a time for some of us is because we have not built our worthiness factor, because we are not able to talk about how worthy we are based on the people that we have helped from our business, people that we have sustained, profits that we have generated for third parties and stuff. People do not price what we sell, people price us. So when the customer is negotiating with you, you think they are negotiating your product, but really they are negotiating you. Because they are thinking, why will I pay $10 for this thing? Why will I pay £50 for this thing? Why will I pay 20,000 naira for this thing? Because they feel you don't deserve it. If you're an African farmer, I'm sure you'd have heard people say that, but it's just an ordinary farmer. It's just when they say you are just an ordinary farmer, what they are trying to tell you unconsciously is the value we place on you is not that high to pay that much. The same person that is pricing banana on the streets, the same person that is negotiating tomatoes on the street, will enter a store and pay whatever price tag they put on it. Are we together? So I must become that person that starts writing out my worthiness value. Who did I help today? Who did I? So that by the time you start talking, you see somebody is like, if I write down my worthiness value, how does that help? How it helps is when you speak, people hear the confidence coming out. People see the self-esteem coming out. Let me give an example. Go back and read about this. I'm sure you've heard of this term, con man. When you say this person is a con artist, con man. Go and read the history of con man. Con man was what's the word I'm looking for now? The actual word for con man was actually people that are confident. Confident man. Confidence. Confident man. Meaning, the reason they were able to con people those days was because they had a crazy level of confidence. So it was supposed to be a confident man. And those days, before they now turned it into Ponzi scheme where they are scamming people, those days, they used to be the salesmen. That's where the whole term of they can sell ice block to an Eskimo. What is selling ice block to an Eskimo. Eskimos live in areas that are glaciers. They live primarily in places that have blocks, ice block all around. Now, imagine now coming to sell ice block to somebody that already has ice block. That was the whole idea of that person that is being confident. If you believe you are worthy, it will come out in how you speak. It is not pride. It will come out in how you speak. For example, for those that watch football, if you watch this last World Cup, one of the persons that was brought in as a pundit was a guy called, an ex-footballer called Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Zlatan has never done pundit work before. But one thing became clear for all fans. Everybody kept saying, no, Zlatan is different. This guy is good. If you knew Zlatan as a footballer, you will know that Zlatan was somebody that, that guy was confident. Some of the craziest things that Zlatan did, when Zlatan got signed into LA Galaxy football club in the US, this guy, when he got signed into the club, he took a full page advert. And in the full page advert, he wrote, Dear New York, you are welcome, signed by Zlatan Ibrahimovic, meaning he's telling the states, you are like the state told him, thank you for coming to play in our country, and he's telling them, you are welcome. Another one was LeBron James. If you know US people, these guys are suckers for baseball and basketball. They are not too big on football. These guys are very big on basketball, and one of the biggest basketball stars at that time was LeBron James. And when LeBron James heard that this guy has been signed into LA Galaxy in the US, LeBron James sent him his jersey to say, take, welcome, blah, blah, blah. Zlatan took the jersey, signed it, like put autograph, signed it, and sent it back. Like LeBron James was asking him for autograph. Number 3, I don't know what you're asking. Your question is not clear. So, what am I trying to explain? There is a confidence level that comes when you believe you are worthy of something. And the way to be able to build your self-worth is to be able to write down daily, weekly, monthly, who have you helped? Who has my business helped? Who did I help grow their money? Who did I help save their money? Who did I help grow their health? Who did I help eat? Who did I help to dress well? Start writing it down. Not fictitious thing, like something that is visible that people will say yes. Once you have done that, number 3 is what we call the loyalty audit. The loyalty audit. What is loyalty audit? Now, you see, everybody has an unconscious person you don't want to be better than. Or you don't want it to look like you are better than them unconsciously. Meaning, as you grew up, maybe they were your mentor, maybe they were your role model, maybe they were an uncle, an auntie, and you feel guilty being more successful than them unconsciously. You feel guilty being more successful than them unconsciously. Take your time and think about it. These are the people that if you have money, you don't want to show off around them. If you do well in exam, you don't want to show off around them. You need to sit down and write down their name, because your loyalty to them is hurting your growth unconsciously. Write down their name. Now, what you need to do is you will write a letter to them, but the letter will never be sent to them. It's just a letter so that you can remove that thing from your head to a paper. After writing, you can destroy it. So that you are able to still respect them for where they are without stopping where you are. You are able to respect and honor them for where they are without stopping where you are. You see, because there are people we have put in our life that unconsciously you don't know, like it's an unconscious thing but you just know that when you have, like even if you are a big man, when you are around them, you try to be cautious so it doesn't come across as show off. And it is hurting you. you need to write out those people. Next is the rate experiment. What is the rate experiment? Rate experiment is where you good evening. Rate experiment is when you have realized that, oh yes, you have created a system where you now know that I have been undercharging for too long. Gradually start increasing your rates. You cannot just take your rate and jump overnight. You know it will be wrong, right? So you gradually start increasing your rates. You were charging maybe 500 naira per kilo, do 600 per kilo. Some customers will go, some will come. Understand people that charge high, how do they present it? How do they brand? So that gradually you start increasing your rates. Those who knew me those days, there were times I used to do free consultation. Now I don't anymore, and I charge well. But I did not just start overnight. It was a gradual process. It was a gradual process. Gradual process. So you too, I'm trying to see that we can be done in 4 minutes. I'm trying to rush. You too can do the same thing. Next is what I call the deserve affirmation protocol. You must be able to give yourself self-affirmation. I deserve to earn better. Don't see your brain will not process lies to yourself. It will not agree easily. So if you are saying, oh, I am rich when you are poor, your brain knows that you are lying. By the time you are done with all of those stories, I'm rich. Once you are done, your brain will be like, Baba, we know you are poor. You remember saying you did poor. But you can say, oh, I am on the path to wealth. Oh, I deserve to charge better. Oh, I can get this done. So that as you do that constant affirmation, gradually your mindset starts shifting gradually. Your mindset begins to shift gradually, and hopefully someday soon you build the wealth that you deserve. Thank you for listening. This was long, sorry, it's supposed to be 30 minutes, but this went straight for an hour. I was trying not to do mumbo jumbo around some points. So thank you. For those that probably joined late, you can always check the YouTube, it's recorded. Whoever feeds you controls you. Money buys peace, not